This class is very straightforward. It simply looks at commercial interpersonal communications and looks at such topics as communications by word of mouth and opinion leadership. Very straightforward material. It will be orientated towards commercial interpersonal communications. So we are dealing here with companies and with communication systems within companies. We'll start by looking at word of mouth. This is simply face-to-face talking, face-to-face communications. It's very informal. It doesn't require an awful lot of thinking to understand how the information flows between the communicator and the receiver. But the types of information typically passed around in a commercial setting would relate to product news, updates, suppliers, prices. Clearly when people meet face to face there will be some element of social contact. The hello, how are you? Did you see the game last night on television? But generally speaking, having got that out of the way, the core of the information required will relate to the business, so it'll orientate towards the product news, updates and issues surrounding work. It'll also give advice relating to price and the quality of the product and on innovations within production or new routines or some new development that's maybe introduced, a reorganization or whatever. So it'll be a way of communicating generally within the organization. And often personal experiences are inserted into this to say that their experience of a reorganization in the past, it didn't work because of that, that and that, and therefore this must be taken into account. So it'll be anecdotal to some extent, it'll reflect past experiences, and it's a general form of communications. Now the consumer communications content, well, normally consumers have complaints or sometimes to praise a product, and it's either complaints or praise that is the stimulus for communications. Some consumers must have something to say, otherwise they won't say it. And what they've got to say is they are dissatisfied with the product or they are very happy with the product. And that usually drives the communications. The more highly involved consumers are, the more likely they are to complain. So if consumers depend on the product, it's perhaps an input into their production process, or they depend on it because it's an important item for consumption, they will be more vocal, they will complain more openly and more frequently if something is wrong. But likewise, if it's a good product, good quality, etc., they may pour praise on the product and communicate praise as well. Complaints tend to have more influence. Complaints tend to be taken more seriously. Praise is very nice. People smile and get happy. But complaints, management want to keep complaints under control. They want to keep the reputation of the business solid. So generally speaking, management will deal with complaints much more seriously than they will with praise. So the marketers, the people within the business, will try to stop the complainers, to stop them by fixing the problem, by compensating them, by responding to them efficiently and politely, and they want to maintain the reputation of the business. As I said earlier, some of the face-to-face will also be about technically complex and risky undertakings that the business may be going through, and consumers sometimes will also participate in this type of conversation, this type of communications. They may write to the business, giving their opinions about how the business should develop, or what items of production they should bring in, and how they should maintain some products that they're proposing to axe, and so on and so on. So why consumers communicate? Well, some of them just enjoy talking, just like writing. And sometimes consumers talk amongst themselves because it's a shared experience, and this reduces the risk of buying a bad product. They want to hear about what went wrong, the durability of the product, the quality of the product. They want to find out what competitors are charging. So sometimes consumers communicate with each other to try and learn from each other's experience. The person receiving the communications, well, communications sometimes can reduce search. If you don't communicate, then it might be difficult to find where the product's for sale, at what price, what the quality is. There's a discovery and a learning cost. So if consumers can communicate amongst themselves, perhaps in a forum online, then the information is more accessible. It's cheaper to find. And that would reduce uncertainty. Information about the product is more available. People tell the upsides and the downsides of the product. So there's less uncertainty about buying it or being involved with the product. And of course the management will also be aware of these forums, and they will want to respond to adverse comments, fix the adverse comments, and communicate with the consumer groups to say that they have a better product now and they're going to innovate even further and it's going to be even better in the future, etc. The communications process is obviously best if it's focused in on who exactly is involved. Talking widely and generally is not very efficient. It's also a good idea to talk to people with expertise and objectivity, people who tell the truth, people who have expertise in the area, because they are more credible. You can believe them more easily. Impartial groups who are honest and open about their experiences are also good. Sometimes clubs or societies that use a particular product and have no particular axe to grind will openly and honestly communicate their experiences about a product. Potential buyers will be aware of this, or could be aware of this, and it'll influence sales of the product. But management should also be aware of it, and they should fix any weakness or any shortfall in the product to address the issue and to maintain its sales. There are people who are opinion leaders. Opinion leaders are very influential in markets. They can lead the market. They could do it by authority, by their reputation. They provide information for decision making, but they have a well-established reputation, and therefore people follow them. They may be a trendsetter. Personal experiences are copied. Somebody who's well known purchases a product. Other people may want to emulate that person, have the same product. Celebrities are often used for this purpose. They wear certain clothing or a certain hairstyle or certain shoes or whatever, drive a certain car. They become a trendsetter, and their personal experiences are copied by many people. There are also local opinion leaders. local ones are perhaps within certain areas, within a city, within a country, but not too wide. Sometimes, normally within a city, local, and they've a positive reference group. People within that society, within that city, can relate to that person and can trust that person. They can believe the person. So that person becomes an opinion leader. Marketers and public policy actors, well, they create interpersonal communication. It could be direct selling techniques, bypassing the more traditional forms of marketing and communications, going direct, sending an email, cold calling on the telephone, trying to get the message across direct from the producer to the consumer, and perhaps tapping into consumer to consumer information channels, so that the consumers relate to the product because the product is supporting their own channel. It could be they're sponsoring some communication system, or they are portraying themselves in the local community in a certain light. It overlaps with customer relations management to some extent. It could stimulate interpersonal communications, have celebrity spokespeople. Many, particularly fashionable items, have celebrities who are identified with the item, with watches or clothing or makeup or whatever, cars, certain cars, whatever it is. So the celebrity spokespeople become important, and they may become also associated with media and sporting events. They may sponsor certain sporting events. Most obviously, I suppose, the Olympic Games, or it could be something local, a local cricket match or whatever. So the companies try to portray their message by being supportive of communities, by linking their product to successful people, and this is opinion leading. So the rest of the consumers will follow because there's a trend, there's a fashion, and they will follow, and that type of communication, which is really a type of marketing, customer relations type exercise, can lead to sustainability of the business, more sales, more profitability, perhaps expansion, and so on and so on and so on. I think quite a straightforward class, nothing really difficult to understand in there. So I think we can leave it at that. Okay, so thank you for watching.